My daughter gave me a ticket for a cruise, but at the port, the boarding agent coldly announces, "You are not registered." I call her and get the bad news. "Have a nice trip home, loser." My son-in-law laughs. "You can swim with the ducks in the bathtub." But one phone call and they're left without a roof over their heads. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you were listening in the comments. The key turned in the lock. I pushed the door open, calling out that I was home. Silence answered, then the sudden scrape of chair legs on kitchen tile, the rustle of papers being gathered too quickly. I walked toward the sound. They were at the table. Gloria's hands frozen over a document. Stuart standing behind her, arms crossed. The Sunrise Realty logo faced me from across the room, bold and unmistakable. $850,000 in 18-point font, my address beneath it. "What's this?" I moved closer, eyes fixed on the paper. Gloria's hand slid over the document, casual but deliberate. "Just some paperwork, Dad. Nothing important." Nothing important. My house, appraised, documented, ready for sale. I reached for the paper. She pulled it back, but not before I caught the details. Property valuation report, dated July 14th, 2 days ago. Lot size, square footage, comparable sales, all there in clinical black and white. "That's my property you're discussing." The words came out harder than I intended. Stuart straightened, gaining his full height. He had 4 inches on me, and he knew it. "We're just exploring options, Ray, looking at the future." "My future?" I slammed my palm on the table. Coffee cups rattled. "In my house?" Gloria remained seated, a power move I recognized from business negotiations decades ago. "Our future, Daddy. You're not getting younger. We need to think practically." Practically? The word tasted bitter. I grabbed the edge of the document, felt the expensive paper stock between my fingers. She held the other end. For 3 seconds, we engaged in a silent tug of war over my own property's fate. "You contacted Sunrise Realty." Not a question. The evidence sat between us. Stuart moved closer, his voice dropping to that condescending tone he used when explaining simple concepts to complicated people. "Look, old man, we're registered residents here. Florida law is clear about tenant rights. We've lived here 2 years. That establishes certain protections." 2 years. They'd waited exactly 2 years. The realization hit like a punch to the gut. Gloria released the paper suddenly. I stumbled back half a step. She smiled, the expression never reaching her eyes. "After Mom died, you said we were family. You invited us to stay, remember? Said you didn't want to be alone in this big house." Weaponizing Elaine's death, twisting my grief into some kind of invitation to plunder. "I invited my daughter, not this scheme." "Scheme?" Stuart laughed, short and sharp. "We're worried about you, that's all. This house is too much for one person. The maintenance, the stairs, all that yard work. We're thinking of your well-being." Each word was calculated, rehearsed. How many times had they practiced this conversation? How many nights had they sat in my living room, planning this moment while I slept upstairs? "Get out." I pointed toward the door, hand steady despite the rage building in my chest. "Both of you, now." Stuart sat down instead, leaned back, crossed one ankle over the opposite knee. Utterly relaxed, utterly dismissive. "This is our home too, old man. Legal residence. You can't just kick us out because you're having a bad day," Gloria added, voice honey sweet with something toxic underneath. "We know where you keep the will, Dad. In the safe, combination 112365. My birthday. You made me sole beneficiary, remember? So really we're just preparing for the inevitable. The inevitable. My death, reduced to an administrative inconvenience they needed to prepare for. I stared at my daughter, at this stranger wearing my daughter's face, and felt 36 years of fatherhood crack down the middle. They sat there, smiling their matching predator smiles, waiting for my next move. The kitchen clock ticked. My breathing came heavy. Their expressions never changed. I turned without another word and walked toward the stairs. Each step felt like defeat, like retreat from a battlefield I didn't know existed until 20 minutes ago. Family photos lined the hallway. Gloria's high school graduation, her mother's smile, my arm around both of them. Different people, different lifetime. 32 steps to the second floor. I'd built them myself, back when this house represented dreams instead of prison walls. My hand gripped the railing, knuckles white. Behind me, their voices resumed. Couldn't make out the words, but the tone, mocking, dismissive, triumphant, carried up the stairwell like smoke. Someone laughed. The sound followed me into the bedroom. I closed the door and sat on the edge of the bed, stared at the wooden barrier between me and them. The house creaked with their movement below, every sound a reminder that they were still there, still planning, still circling. My hands trembled. First time I'd let myself acknowledge the physical fear, the violation of having enemies living in rooms I'd built with my own hands. The clock on the nightstand showed 10:15. Downstairs, a door opened and closed, more laughter, drifting up through the vents like poison gas. The house I built felt like a cage. Sleep wouldn't come that night. 6:47 in the morning. The bedroom had grown gray with early light. I'd watched every hour change on the clock. 12:43, 1:17, 2:39, 3:52, 4:28, 5:33. Somewhere around 3, I'd moved to my study downstairs, gathering documents quietly while they slept in my master bedroom upstairs. The oak filing cabinet opened with a familiar squeak. Property deed, filed under H for house. I spread it on the desk, reading words I'd memorized 30 years ago. Property owned solely by Raymond Murray. Small relief in a night of revelations. Next, the safe. Combination 1, 1, 2, 3, 6, 5. Gloria's birthday. She'd been right about that. The will sat inside, exactly where she said it would be. I pulled it out, unfolded the pages. Gloria Murray, sole beneficiary. Every asset, every investment, the house, the remaining business accounts, all hers. Had she tried the combination herself? Stood here in the dark, spinning the dial, checking to see if her inheritance was secure? The safe showed no signs of tampering, but that proved nothing. She was careful. They both were. I created lists on a yellow legal pad, organizing the problem like a construction project. Assets in one column, vulnerabilities in another, options in a third. My builder's mind worked best with structure, with plans drawn out in precise detail. 3 coffee cups accumulated on the desk corner. My eyes burned from sleeplessness, back stiff from hours hunched over papers. But the mental fog had lifted. Anger had burned through confusion, leaving something harder, sharper. 8:15, water running through pipes upstairs. Stuart's shower. The house's plumbing told stories if you knew how to listen. Which fixtures, which rooms, patterns of daily life. I'd installed every pipe myself. 8:45, coffee maker gurgling in the kitchen, that distinctive burble and hiss. 9 o'clock, their voices carried down the hall. Laughter. They were having breakfast in my house like they owned it. Soon they might. I gathered documents into my briefcase. Had to pass the kitchen to reach the garage. No other route. I'd designed the floor plan myself, never imagining I'd need an escape route from my own kitchen. The hallway stretched ahead, kitchen doorway on the left, bright with morning sun. I moved quietly, each step measured, paused at the threshold, just out of sight. Saw their backs, breakfast plates, the newspaper spread between them. Normal, as if last night never happened. They didn't turn, didn't notice, or didn't care. I continued to the garage, breath held until the door closed behind me. The Honda Accord's leather seats showed their age, cracked and worn, but familiar. I locked the doors, privacy, control, a space they couldn't invade. Pulled out my phone, hands steadier now. Dialed Bernard's number from memory. 3 rings. Morales and Associates. Bernard's voice, professional but warm. Bernard, it's Ray Murray. Pause. Ray, been years. What's wrong? Direct. That's why we'd worked well together, back when my construction business needed legal guidance. I need legal help, today if possible. Come at 2, tell me then. See you then. Call ended. I exhaled fully for the first time since finding those papers. Started the car, backed out of the garage. Movement in the kitchen window is one of them watching. Let them wonder where I was going. The drive to downtown Miami took 40 minutes. Traffic building as morning stretched toward noon. Brickell Avenue congestion. Familiar frustration of red lights and aggressive lane changes. My thoughts circled back to Bernard. He'd handled my business contracts, property disputes. Even drafted my will 20 years ago. If anyone could help navigate this mess, he could. Parking garage, elevator to the 14th floor. Frosted glass door. Morales and Associates in gold lettering. I pushed through at 1:58, early, but not by much. Bernard's office smelled like leather and old books. He stood when I entered, hand extended. Gray had claimed his temples since I'd seen him last, reading glasses now hanging from a chain around his neck. Expensive suit, worn comfortably. Ray? His handshake was firm, assessing. Sit. Tell me what happened. I spread documents across his desk. The deed, the will, the appraisal, bank statements. He put on his glasses, began reading with that methodical focus I remembered. Occasionally made a note, muttered under his breath. Professional distance, but I caught concern in the tightness around his eyes. Talk me through it. He looked up, pen poised. I told him everything. The discovery, the confrontation, their legal knowledge, Gloria's casual cruelty. Bernard listened without interrupting, taking notes in his precise handwriting. When I finished, he leaned back. Property ownership is secure. The deed's in your name only, no joint tenancy issues. He tapped the will. This is changeable any time, but that doesn't solve your immediate problem, which is, they're established residents. Florida law grants protections after 60 consecutive days of residency. They've been there 2 years, more than enough. Eviction requires court order, formal process, 2 to 3 months minimum, assuming no complications. Months? The word came out flat. Unless they leave voluntarily. Bernard set down his pen. Ray, what are they planning? Because people don't get property appraisals for casual curiosity. They want me gone, the house sold. My guess? They've already lined up buyers, just waiting for the right moment. Do they have power of attorney, access to your accounts? No, but Gloria knows the safe combination, knows where everything is filed. I gestured at the documents. She's been studying my entire life, preparing. Bernard made another note. Here's what we do. First, change that will immediately. I'll draft a new one this week. Second, document everything. Every conversation, every threat, every action they take. Third, we file for eviction, but we do it carefully. Don't act impulsively. Don't give them ammunition for a countersuit. What kind of countersuit? Elder abuse accusations, claims you're mentally incompetent, anything that might get them emergency guardianship. He held up a hand at my expression. I'm not saying they would. I'm saying we prepare for every possibility. We spent another hour discussing strategy. Bernard drafted initial documents, explained procedures, outlined timelines. Finally, he slid a representation agreement across the desk. $3,500 as retainer. That covers the eviction filing, will modification, and 20 hours of consultation. We'll bill additional time if this gets complicated. I wrote the check without hesitation. This was war preparation, and wars cost money. Bernard accepted it, tucked it in a folder. Consider me on retainer. Call anytime, day or night. We'll protect your assets, Ray, but carefully. His handshake held 30 years of trust. I left his office feeling something I hadn't felt since finding those papers. Control, not complete, not yet, but the beginnings of a plan. The drive home took 40 minutes, late afternoon traffic thickening as people left work early for weekend preparations. I used every minute thinking, strategizing, shifting from reactive to active mode. Pulled into the garage at 6:30. Gloria's car still there. Entered through the kitchen, empty, but sounds from the living room drew me forward. She was waiting. Seated on the couch, envelope visible on the coffee table, positioned deliberately. Late-day sun streamed through windows, washing everything in warm, golden light. The staging was too perfect. Gloria rose as I entered, picked up the envelope, approached, but stopped at what she probably calculated as respectful distance. Her expression, concern, remorse, daughterly love, looked practiced, like she'd rehearsed in a mirror. Dad, I owe you an apology. Hands clasped, head tilted slightly, sympathy pose. Last night I handled everything wrong. Stuart gets protective, and I got defensive, and we forgot what matters most. Family. I stood stiff, arms at my sides, wary. Every gesture felt choreographed, every word selected from a script. I was learning to read her now, to see past the performance. We want to make it right. She extended the envelope. Peace offering. I took it, feeling the weight, the quality of the paper stock. Expensive. Opened it slowly, deliberately. Inside, a cruise ticket. Caribbean cruise, departing July 26th, cabin 7042. My name printed on official letterhead. 10 days, Gloria said, voice gentle. You've been through so much stress. You deserve rest, relaxation, our treat. Stuart appeared from the hallway, timing too perfect to be coincidence. They'd coordinated this scene, blocking and all. He smiled, the same apologetic expression Gloria wore. Tag team performance. We'll take care of the house while you're gone, Stuart added. Maintenance, yard work, everything. You come back refreshed and we start over. Fresh beginning. I held the ticket, studying the July 26th date. 9 days away. Studied their expectant faces, reading the calculation behind manufactured warmth. They wanted me gone, needed me gone. But why? What happens in my absence? The ticket felt heavy in my hands, like a promise, or a trap. They'd gone upstairs an hour later, satisfied with my acceptance. I sat in the darkened living room, turning the ticket over in my hands, studying the cabin number until the digits blurred. Sleep came eventually, thin and restless, filled with half-formed strategies. Friday morning arrived with harsh sunlight through the kitchen window. 8:47 by the stove clock. I sat at the table, coffee cooling in my cup, the cruise ticket beside it like evidence at a crime scene. Upstairs, silence. They were still asleep, celebrating their victory in dreams. My phone felt heavy lifting it. Bernard answered on the second ring. Ray, early for you. Need advice? That cruise ticket? I think it's bait for something worse. Papers rustled on his end. What's your instinct telling you? That they want me gone for a week. Question is why? I kept my voice low, aware of the ceiling above, the bedroom where they slept. Can they sell the house without my signature? Absolutely not. But Ray, there are other plays. Power of attorney fraud, forged documents, refinancing schemes. We need to build walls before you leave. How fast can we move? Come Saturday. We'll draft a new will, establish protective measures. I'll be your fail-safe while you're gone. He paused. You're actually going? If I refuse, they'll know I'm onto them. Better to play along, but prepared. Saturday morning meant driving to Brickell Avenue, Bernard's office building, rising against a cloudless sky. Joyce Mason waited in the conference room. She'd been our notary for 20 years, handled Elaine's estate, knew our family history. The new will spread before me, pages crisp with legal weight. My eyes caught on the primary clause. Veterans Housing Foundation, 70% of total estate value, where Gloria's name used to claim everything. Joyce's pen tapped her notepad. You're absolutely certain about this change? My hand hovered over the signature line. This was my daughter, my only child, the girl I'd taught to ride a bike, walk down the aisle, held when her mother died. But that girl had become someone else. Or maybe I'd never really known her at all. She chose greed over family. I'm just responding in kind. Each letter of my signature felt deliberate, final. The notary seal came down with a decisive thump that echoed in the quiet room. 2 clerks witnessed, their signatures impersonal and official, making it legal beyond challenge. Joyce placed the original in a manila envelope. I'll file this in your safe deposit box. Bernard will have access should anything happen. And the power of attorney? Executed and registered, Bernard can act on your behalf for all financial and legal matters. She met my eyes. Ray, I've known you since you were building spec houses in Kendall. This is the right move. I thanked her, left with a copy tucked in my briefcase, the weight of disinheritance settling somewhere between my shoulders. Monday brought a different kind of escape. I told them I needed to check the Keys property before the cruise. Maintenance concerns, tenant issues, the lies came easily now. Stuart barely looked up from his phone. Gloria waved from the kitchen, already planning what to do with their week of freedom. Highway 1 stretched south, ocean appearing in glimpses between developments and marinas. 2 hours of driving, radio stations fading into static, then finding new signals. Key Largo passed, then Islamorada, the 7-mile bridge crossing endless blue water. Marathon appeared small and sun-bleached, yacht slips and tourist shops clustered around the harbor. The property sat on Ocean Drive, half an acre of coconut palms and potential, a dock stretching toward deeper water. I'd bought it 15 years ago as investment, watched it appreciate while developers circled. Now it represented something else, ammunition for the legal war ahead. The realtor met me at her office overlooking the harbor. We discussed preliminary documents, not selling yet, but preparing options. If this battle needed funding, this land converted to $320,000 fast enough. Tuesday's return drive brought sunset colors, strategies solidifying with each mile north. Wednesday through Friday became a study in observation. Gloria performed excessive cheerfulness, questions about my packing too frequent, too detailed. Stuart's friendliness rang hollow, forced. I played the oblivious father, giving minimal answers, watching them grow frustrated with my lack of engagement. Thursday afternoon, Gloria cornered me in my bedroom, suitcase open on the bed. "Let me help pack, Dad. Those cruise formal nights, you'll need the right clothes. I've packed for trips before, but the dress code is specific, and your medications, documents, everything organized. I'll manage fine." Her disappointment showed clearly, quickly masked. She'd wanted to inventory what I was taking, verify I'd left important documents behind. Instead, I was packing deliberately minimal, basic clothes, toiletries, nothing valuable or irreplaceable. That evening, I verified the booking online. The reservation appeared legitimate. Cabin 7242 confirmed. Departure Saturday at 4 p.m. I took screenshots, evidence of their deception that wouldn't reveal itself until the trap sprung. Friday brought the final tell. 6:30 in the evening, I entered the kitchen for water. Stuart sat at the counter, laptop open, screen displaying something that made him slam it shut the instant he heard my footsteps. Too fast. Guilty fast. Gloria emerged from the pantry, timing too convenient. Their whispered conversation cut off abruptly. "Just planning the house deep clean while you're gone," Gloria offered, smile brittle. "Carpets, windows, maybe repaint the guest bath." Sounds ambitious. "We want everything perfect for your return." Stuart's voice carried that edge again, the mockery barely concealed. We confirmed final details. I'd leave at noon Saturday, taxi to the port, boarding at 2 p.m. They'd have the house until the following Saturday, 7 days of freedom to execute whatever they had planned. 11:47 Friday night. My bedroom, suitcase open on the bed, but mostly empty. Through the window, streetlights cast long shadows across the lawn I'd maintained for 30 years. The house settled around me, creaks and sighs of aging wood and foundation. They were asleep in the master bedroom, my room, occupied by invaders who shared my blood. The irony tasted bitter. I packed what I needed, minimal clothes, basic necessities, nothing they could use against me. No important documents, no valuables, no ammunition for whatever scheme they had devised. My real assets were secured elsewhere. New will in the safe deposit box, power of attorney with Bernard, Key's property prepared for potential sale. Setting my phone alarm for 11 a.m. felt like preparing for battle. Placing it on the nightstand, sitting on the bed's edge, I reviewed the week's preparation. Will changed, attorney empowered, backup assets positioned. Let them spring their trap. I'd built stronger foundations than they could demolish. I closed the suitcase, barely filled, deliberately sparse, and lay down fully clothed. Tomorrow I'd play their game perfectly, the unsuspecting father walking into their carefully constructed humiliation. My eyes closed. 12 hours until I learned exactly what they'd planned. But whatever it was, they'd already lost. They just didn't know it yet. The alarm jarred me from thin sleep. 11 o'clock, the phone's display announced. 90 minutes until departure into whatever they'd orchestrated. Shower quickly, casual clothes appropriate for cruise boarding. Final check of my deliberately sparse suitcase. Everything calculated, nothing left to chance except their plan itself, still hidden behind their performances and careful smiles. 12:15. I descended the stairs, suitcase rolling behind me, each step measured and steady. They waited at the front door, positioned like actors in a staged farewell, smiles too wide, eyes too bright with anticipated victory. "Have a wonderful time, Dad," Gloria's voice pitched high with manufactured enthusiasm. "You deserve this vacation," Stuart added his piece, words carefully chosen to carry double meaning. "We'll take excellent care of everything. The house will be in perfect hands. Thanks. See you next Saturday." I played my role, the trusting father, the easy mark. Their relief was palpable. He suspects nothing. Their postures screamed. We've won. The taxi arrived precisely at 12:30. I loaded my suitcase while they waved from the doorway, maintaining their performance until the car rounded the corner and they disappeared from view. Only then did I exhale, tension releasing from shoulders I hadn't realized were locked. The driver tried conversation. Beautiful day. Cruise should be amazing. Been before? I offered minimal responses, watching Miami pass through the window. Coral Gables mansions gave way to Brickell's glass towers, then Port Boulevard opened toward the waterfront. Radio played Cuban music, traffic reports, the soundtrack of a city moving through its Saturday routines, unaware of my small drama unfolding. My reflection in the window looked tired, older than 62, a man heading towards something he couldn't quite define. The port appeared, massive terminal, the cruise ship towering above it, 12 decks visible from blocks away. Crowds gathered at the entrance, families and couples, excitement radiating in waves. Meter read $62. I handed the driver $70, kept the change simple, stepped onto the sidewalk with my suitcase. The terminal doors waited ahead, glass and steel promising adventure for everyone except me. 1:15. The registration line stretched across the terminal, families with kids bouncing with excitement, couples holding hands, retiree groups already swapping vacation stories. I stood alone, suitcase handle gripped tight, ticket and passport ready, joining the slow crawl toward the counters. Air conditioning battled July heat. Intercom announcements in Spanish and English called out boarding updates, deck assignments, last-minute instructions. Luggage wheels created constant rolling thunder across tile floors. Perfume and cologne mixed in the recycled air. Travelers prepared for romance and adventure. The line advanced in measured increments. I observed the happiness surrounding me. Families planning activities, couples discussing dinner reservations, the stark contrast to my growing dread. 40 minutes passed through environmental details and overheard conversations before I reached the counter at 2:20. The agent's smile was professional, practiced, worn from processing hundreds of passengers. "Good afternoon, sir. Ticket and ID, please. Here, cabin 7242. I handed them across, voice steady, confident in the legitimacy of physical documents. She scanned the barcode. Beep. Her eyes went to the screen, and I watched her expression shift, professional smile fading to confused frown, eyes narrowing as she read whatever the computer displayed. Keys clicked. She checked something, rechecked, typed again. "One moment, sir." The moment stretched. Other agents helped passengers around us, cheerful transactions completing smoothly. Mine had stopped, frozen on whatever my screen revealed. "I'm not finding your registration." Her voice carried genuine regret. I thrust the ticket forward. "Right here, confirmation number, cabin assignment, everything." She turned her screen slightly. I caught a glimpse. Red text, status marked, canceled. "I see the confirmation number, but the booking shows canceled." She scrolled, reading details I couldn't see. Cancellation occurred July 24th at 6:33 p.m. Online cancellation by the original purchaser. July 24th, 6:33 p.m. The exact moment Stuart had been at his laptop, screen slamming shut when I entered the kitchen. "That's impossible. I'm here, with the ticket." "Sir, I understand, but the system is definitive. The original purchaser canceled online. Refund was processed to their account. $2,200 returned. The ship leaves in less than 2 hours. There must be availability. We're at full capacity. Every cabin is occupied." She looked genuinely sympathetic, corporate helplessness in her eyes. "The only option would be to contact the purchaser for a new booking, but even then, we have no space available. Contact the purchaser." Gloria, who was probably waiting for exactly this call. "There's nothing you can do?" "I truly wish I could, sir. The system shows canceled. I cannot board you without active registration." I stepped away from the counter, other passengers filling my space, their successful transactions continuing, while mine ended in cancellation and humiliation. Found a corner near floor-to-ceiling windows. Through the glass, the ship towered, gangways busy with boarding passengers, life moving forward without me. My suitcase sat at my feet, journey that would never happen. Ticket crumpled in my other hand, promise broken by betrayal. Phone trembling in my grip, I dialed Gloria's number. Muscle memory, bitter familiarity. First ring, my breathing harsh in my ears. Second ring, dread mounting. She answered immediately. She'd been waiting. "Gloria, the registration's canceled." Laughter exploded through the speaker, pure and cruel and triumphant. "Oh no, really? What a terrible shame. You did this. You canceled it." "Well, obviously, Dad. You honestly think I'd waste $2,000 on you? Why this cruelty, this public humiliation?" "Cruelty? You snuck to that lawyer. Yes, we know about Bernard Morales. Found the check stub, $3,500. Did you think we're stupid?" Her voice rose with righteous anger. "You tried to scheme against us, your own family." Stewart's voice carried from background. "Tell him where he can cruise." Gloria's laughter turned sharper. "Stewart suggests the bathtub. Rubber ducks are more your budget these days. I'm your father. You're a stubborn old man standing in my house, my inheritance. And right now, you're in public looking foolish while we're home where we belong." Her satisfaction dripped through every word. "Florida law protects us. You can't evict us, and you know it. You're powerless, and everyone around you sees it." "Gloria, enjoy your long trip home, loser. Try not to cry on the bus." Click, dial tone, then silence. I stood motionless, phone still at my ear, terminal noise washing over me, but not penetrating. Through the window, the ship continued loading happy passengers, life moving forward as if my small tragedy meant nothing. Physical inventory of my situation, suitcase at my feet, journey canceled, ticket crumpled worthless in my fist, face burning with public shame, throat tight with suppressed emotion, hands shaking, rage or shock, impossible to separate. Around me, life continued, family passing close. "Dad, can we see the ship from here?" Intercom announcement, final boarding for all passengers, proceed to deck 3. Wall clock, 2:47 p.m. My reflection in the window. 62-year-old man, alone, defeated looking, exactly what they wanted. They were celebrating now. House secured, old man humiliated, victory complete in their minds. Standing there proving I was nothing, powerless, broken. Except they'd revealed everything. Their complete cruelty, their absolute certainty, their total disregard for anything except their greed. And they thought this ended it. Thought public humiliation equaled final victory. My shoulders straightened, jaw unclenched, breathing steadied, eyes focused. I picked up my suitcase, grip firmer now, deliberate. Turned from the window, from the ship I'd never board, from the vacation that was always meant to be a trap. Walked toward the exit with measured steps, past the departures board showing Coral Gables buses, rental car shuttles, taxi stands. 8 hours minimum to get home, maybe more. Long journey by bus or rental or whatever transportation I could arrange. But 8 hours was time. Time they thought I'd spend in defeat and tears. Time I'd use differently. I headed for the exit. They'd given me something valuable, complete clarity about who they were, what they'd do, how far they'd go. And 8 hours to plan exactly what happened when I walked through that door they thought they'd locked against me. The automatic doors opened, Miami heat hitting like a wall, but I walked through steady and certain. They'd sprung their trap, now I'd build mine. I walked outside the terminal, found a concrete bench facing the water, tourists flowing past with their excitement and luggage. Sat with my suitcase beside me, letting the afternoon heat press against my skin like a physical weight. 4 o'clock. The cruise ship's horn sounded, departure preparations, passengers boarding for their Caribbean adventure. Everyone except me. That hollow sound carried across the water, mocking and final. My hands had stopped shaking. Breathing came steady now, controlled. The humiliation was converting into something else, something colder and more useful. 8 hours until I'd be home, straight shot up Highway 1, bus or ride share, arriving after midnight to face them in my invaded house. Or 2 hours south, my Keys property. Ocean, solitude, space to think without their presence poisoning every room. The place that was mine alone, where no betrayer had ever set foot. Uber app opened on my phone, typed Marathon, Florida Keys instead of Coral Gables. Price displayed, 190 fees accepted without hesitation, worth every dollar for distance and clarity. ETA, 15 minutes. While waiting, I called Bernard. Saturday afternoon, but he answered on the third ring. dedication I'd come to expect over 30 years. "Ray, how did it go?" They canceled it, left me standing at the registration counter while the agent explained the booking was voided July 24th at 6:33 p.m. Silence, then his measured response. "That's when Stewart was at the laptop." "Exactly. They planned this humiliation perfectly. Spent $2,000 just to watch me fail publicly. I watched a family pass, kids laughing, parents relaxed. But Bernard, they revealed everything. They know about you. Found the check stub, probably. Which means they're preparing for legal battle. If they know I'm involved, they'll have countermoves ready. So we move faster, bigger. The Uber appeared, black sedan, pulling to the curb. I'm heading to Marathon, 2 hours to think. Call you when I arrive. The drive unwound before us, Miami dissolving into Homestead, then the Keys opening up in bridges and ocean glimpses. My driver played Cuban music softly, mercifully avoiding conversation. Air conditioning fought the July heat while I sat in back, watching civilization thin into islands and water. 4:45. Called Bernard again, privacy assured by the road noise and driver's focus. "That house, it's mine, right? Deed in my name only?" "Correct, but with their established residency?" "What if it wasn't my house anymore? Not theirs either. Something else entirely." Professional pause. Bernard's mind working through implications. "You're thinking ownership transfer. To what entity? You tell me. What changes their legal standing fastest?" "Revocable living trust." His voice carried the weight of someone seeing the strategy unfold. You'd transfer property to the trust, maintain control as trustee, but their status transforms. No longer family members in your house, they become unauthorized occupants in a trust-owned property. How fast can that move? Faster than standard eviction if done correctly. 15-day notice instead of 30 to 60. But Ray, one mistake, and they'll claim elder abuse, incompetence, coercion. This is high risk. Higher risk is doing nothing while they occupy my home and plan their next move. We work through details, trust structure, documentation requirements, timeline possibilities. By the time Marathon appeared on the horizon, the framework existed. Not just eviction, complete legal restructuring. 7:30 brought sunset colors and my property. The Uber departed, leaving me alone with half an acre of palms and ocean access. Walking to the dock, shoes abandoned on sand still warm from the day, I sat at the edge with my feet dangling above water that lapped gently against the pilings. Orange bled to purple across the sky. Waves provided rhythm. Seabirds called in the distance. 200 yards to the nearest neighbor. Complete isolation for the first time since Wednesday's confrontation. Phone notes app opened. I started typing strategy elements, legal gaps, tactical advantages. The critical insight crystallized. 2 years ago, when they moved in, I'd signed nothing. No lease, no rental agreement, no formal residency documentation. Just a father helping his grieving daughter. That informality, that absence of paperwork, that was my weapon now. Trust ownership changed everything. The house wouldn't be mine anymore in their eyes. It would belong to a legal entity. And that entity didn't want them there. 8:15. Second call to Bernard. Questions specific and researched from memories of past legal discussions. Walk me through the trust mechanics exactly. You create the Murray family trust, transfer the house to it. You're grantor, trustee, and primary beneficiary. You control everything. I'm backup trustee only if you're incapacitated. The house ownership shifts from Raymond Murray, the individual, to the Murray Family Trust, the entity. And their status? Currently, they're family members residing with you. Post-transfer, they're occupying trust property without authorization. Different category entirely. 15-day written notice to vacate. If they refuse, court eviction follows. But with your documentation, it moves faster. Vulnerabilities? They'll claim you're being coerced or mentally incompetent. We need medical certification proving you're sound, notarized documentation, multiple witnesses, everything bulletproof. Arrange the medical evaluation. Monday morning, I'll be there. Ray, this is nuclear. They launched first. I'm just ensuring they can't launch again. 9 o'clock brought another Uber, this one heading north. Paid $175 for the journey home. Different driver, different music, same Highway 1 reversing direction. 10:45, we stopped at the McDonald's in Homestead. I needed facilities, coffee, a moment to prepare for what came next. Sitting in fluorescent brightness with sparse late-night travelers, I held a black coffee and stared at my reflection in the window. 62-year-old man, exhausted, but eyes harder than they had been that morning. Tomorrow they'd discover I was home. Then the clock would start. 11:15 brought familiar Coral Gables streets, dark houses, mine appearing with upstairs lights on. My bedroom, occupied by them. Downstairs dark, they thought me absent. Probably on some bus crying about my failed vacation. The Uber stopped. I paid $180 total, retrieved my suitcase, stood on my own sidewalk looking at the house I'd built with my own hands 30 years ago. Lights upstairs meant they were awake, comfortable, victorious in their minds. 11:30. My key slid into the lock, turned smoothly. Builder's precision from decades ago. Door opened silently. I stepped inside, closed it carefully behind me. Foyer darkness wrapped around me, eyes adjusted slowly. From upstairs, TV sounds carried down. Late night show, their relaxation, my bedroom converted to their sanctuary. Shoes came off, suitcase lifted. Wheels would make noise. I navigated the familiar layout blindly, every step placed with certainty born from 3 decades of walking these floors. Guest room, first floor, isolated from the stairs, my new temporary quarters. Not a real bedroom, just a couch and storage space. Setting the suitcase down gently, I lay fully clothed on the couch, phone in hand. Alarm set for 6 a.m. Recording app checked and ready. Camera prepared for documentation. Above me, their sounds continued. Bathroom running. Voices carrying through vents. Couldn't make out words, but the tone was satisfaction, celebration. Still on the road somewhere. Laughter. Then their bedroom door closing, my bed accepting them for another night. I lay staring at the dark ceiling, mind running through Monday's steps. Medical evaluation, trust paperwork, county registration, documentation, evidence gathering. The legal fortress Bernard and I had sketched would become reality within days. 6 hours until dawn. 6 hours until they learned their victory was temporary. 6 hours until I started dismantling everything they thought they'd secured. My alarm was set. The plan was ready. And Monday morning would begin the week that ended them. The alarm pulled me from thin sleep at 6 a.m. I'd spent the night in fragments, each footstep overhead, each laugh from my bedroom, each sound of their comfort in my space reinforcing why this had to happen. Rising silently, I used the bathroom, made myself presentable, moved to the kitchen deliberately, started the coffee maker with normal noise. Let them hear it, let them wonder. Sitting at the kitchen table with my mug, I pulled out my phone, activated the recording app, and slipped it into my shirt pocket. Then I waited. 10 o'clock brought movement from above, their voices carried down through the vents, captured clearly by my phone. Gloria's voice, smug and certain. Bet he's still hitching rides home. Stuart's laugh. Broke old fool probably can't afford a bus ticket. More laughter, footsteps crossing my bedroom, bathroom sounds, the mundane morning routine of people who thought they had won. 10:30. Gloria's steps on the stairs, casual descent, expecting an empty kitchen. She froze in the doorway. Shock flashed across her face, genuine surprise quickly buried under calculation, then settling into open disdain. Stuart appeared behind her moments later, positioning himself as backup, that familiar pack formation. "You're back early." Her voice carried accusation, as if I'd violated some agreement. "Cruise was canceled. Came home." Stuart moved to stand beside her, crossing his arms. "New rules, old man. Since you're here, you need to understand how things work now." I sipped my coffee, waiting. Gloria's smile was cruel. "The master bedroom is ours, permanently. You've got that guest room. That's your space now. House decisions go through us. You want to have friends over, you ask. You want to make changes, you check with us first. Clear?" "Crystal." Stuart looked disappointed. He'd expected a fight, resistance, the angry father asserting authority. Instead, I'd given calm acceptance. It threw them. "Good." Gloria's satisfaction was palpable. "Glad you finally understand your place here." They left me sitting there, heading back upstairs to my bedroom, my space, their temporary kingdom. I stopped the recording, saved the file, tagged it with date and time, let them think they'd won. 72 hours remained before their world collapsed. Monday morning, I left at 7:30. Note on the counter, out on errands. Let them imagine grocery shopping or bill paying. Bernard's office at 9. Documents covered his desk, trust papers, transfer deeds, beneficiary forms. His exhaustion showed. He'd worked the weekend preparing everything. Review each page carefully, he advised, sliding the first document across. Murray Family Trust. The words looked official, final. I read every clause, understanding how the legal alchemy worked. Property transferred to trust. Ray Murray, the individual, became Ray Murray, the trustee. Control remained mine, but ownership shifted to an entity that didn't want unauthorized occupants. Medical certification is critical, Bernard emphasized. Dr. Neil Gordon, 11 o'clock. I've arranged everything. Cost is $450. I wrote the check without hesitation. Where's his office? Coral Way, 20 minutes from here. He's expecting you. The clinic was professional, private. Dr. Gordon proved thorough, mid-50s, careful, methodical. Physical examination first. Blood pressure normal, reflexes sharp, coordination excellent for my age. Then cognitive testing. Memory questions. I recalled details precisely. Math problems, solved quickly. Orientation, date, place, situation, all accurate. Problem-solving scenarios. Logical responses, considered decisions. Psychological assessment followed. Depression screening came back negative. Capacity evaluation confirmed full competency. Decision-making judgment tested rational and sound. 12:30, Dr. Gordon reviewed his notes. Mr. Murray, you're cognitively sound, physically healthy, and demonstrating excellent mental capacity. I'll have my report to your attorney by Tuesday morning. Tuesday brought Bernard's call before 9. Certification approved. You're officially documented as fully competent. Legal protection established. Wednesday afternoon, Joyce's office in Brickell. 2 p.m. appointment. Everyone assembled. Me, Bernard, Joyce. 2 witnesses from Bernard's firm. Trust documents spread across the conference table. Multiple copies with color-coded tabs marking signature lines. Joyce's concern showed in her expression. Ray, your daughter will contest this. I have medical certification, multiple witnesses, proper notarization. Let her try. Bernard added his professional assurance. Every legal requirement has been met. This is bulletproof. The signing ceremony began. Trust declaration, my signature, deliberate and clear. Property transfer, my signature, transferring my house to my own trust. Trustee appointment, both Bernard and I signing as co-trustees. Witness attestations, both associates signing and dating. Finally, Joyce's notary seal, that decisive thump of the stamp making everything official, legal, irreversible. Copies distributed, original to safe deposit box, my copy, Bernard's copy. County filing copy prepared. Thursday morning meant the county clerk's office downtown, Miami-Dade government building, bureaucracy in motion. The clerk processed the Murray Family Trust registration with professional efficiency. Filing fee, $125, paid. Stamped receipt received. Legal proof in hand. The trust was real now. Recorded. Official. My house belonged to an entity, and that entity was about to ask unwanted occupants to leave. Thursday evening, I kept my guest room door slightly open. Recording app active. Their voices carried clearly. Stewart's command, stay out of the living room tonight, old man. Adults are watching a movie. Gloria's addition, you can use the TV in your little room, if it even works. Laughter, saved, tagged, time-stamped. Friday morning brought photography duty. While they slept late, I documented the master bedroom, their clothes filling my closet, their toiletries replacing mine in the bathroom, Stewart's laptop on my desk in the study. Their complete takeover captured in digital evidence. Friday afternoon, the mail arrived. Gloria's excited shriek carried through the house. The refund came! They sent the check! I walked past the living room, seeing her waving the cruise company envelope. Stewart grabbed it, reading the amount. $2,200. What should we get? New TV? Maybe a weekend in Orlando? Gloria spotted me. You don't mind, right, Dad? It's basically our money anyway, since we were taking care of the house. I shrugged, indifferent. Do what you want. Her satisfaction was complete. "See, Stuart? He finally knows his place." I returned to the guest room. She was celebrating $2,000 while losing $850,000. The poetry of it almost made me smile. Friday evening, 8 o'clock. Door closed, phone to my ear, Bernard's voice reassuring. "Everything's recorded with the county. Thursday filing, it's official. Murray Family Trust owns the property." "And the notice?" "Drafted and ready. Professional process server, scheduled for Monday morning, 10 a.m. delivery. Content? 15-day notice to vacate. Deadline August 19th. If they refuse, court filing follows immediately." "How long then?" "With our documentation, medical cert, witness statements, recorded evidence of their behavior, 2 weeks maximum for court order. Early September at the latest, they're out." I ended the call, opened my phone's evidence folder, photos of my displacement, audio recordings of their cruelty, medical report proving my competency, trust documents creating legal fortress, timeline showing their countdown had already begun, calendar app open, Monday, August 4th, starred and circled. Standing at the window, I looked out at the quiet house. Upstairs, they were probably planning how to spend their refund, completely oblivious that Monday morning would bring a process server with documents they never saw coming. They'd taken my cruise, my bedroom, my dignity, my peace. Monday morning, I'd take everything. I returned to the couch. Sleep came easier now, knowing the machinery was in motion. Knowing that Monday, the game would end not with a bang, but with official paperwork, legal precision, and the cold satisfaction of watching invaders learn that castles have sieges, and sometimes the castle wins. Monday morning found me in my study, the small room they'd left me on the first floor, when the doorbell rang at exactly 10 o'clock, right on schedule. I sat at the desk, door cracked 2 inches, positioned to hear everything without being seen. Gloria's footsteps descended from upstairs, crossing the foyer toward the front door. 9:58 on the wall clock. The second hand swept toward the 12, 10 o'clock precisely. The doorbell's chime carried through the house. Door opening. Professional male voice. Delivery for Gloria Murray and Stuart Kennedy, current residents. Gloria's response cautious. "That's me. Signature required, please." The scratch of pen on clipboard. Envelope accepted. Door closing. 30 seconds of silence. She was examining the envelope, reading the official label, the return address showing Bernard's firm. Then the tearing sound, violent, urgent, paper rustling as she pulled the notice free. 15 seconds of absolute quiet. I counted them. She was reading the opening paragraph, understanding beginning to form. A sharp gasp cut the silence. Running footsteps, she bolted upstairs, needing privacy or Stuart's contact information. A door slammed, then her voice muffled through walls but panic unmistakable. "Come home, now! Don't ask questions, just come home." 3 minutes of frantic conversation I couldn't fully hear. Then pacing overhead, the ceiling creaking rhythmically as she walked the same path repeatedly. More phone calls, different voices, attorney names mentioned. I stayed put, letting the drama unfold without my presence. 10:50 brought Stuart's arrival. Screeching brakes, car door slamming, entry without greeting. His voice boomed through the house. "Where is he?" They searched. Kitchen, empty. Living room, empty. Then footsteps approaching my study. The door slammed open. Stuart's force, no courtesy knock. He stood there sweating, tie loosened, shirt wrinkled from rushing. Gloria appeared behind him, makeup streaked with tears genuine or performed. I sat calmly, hands folded on the desk, documents arranged beside me. Stuart threw the notice onto my desk. The paper landed face up, official letterhead visible. Murray Family Trust, notice to vacate, 15 days. I didn't look down, already knew every word. "What is this?" Stuart's voice carried genuine shock. "Official notice. You have 15 days to vacate the premises." Gloria's voice shook. "This is my house, my inheritance. The trust's house. You're unauthorized occupants now." Stuart grabbed the notice, waving it. "Fake trust. Illegal transfer. You can't do this." I slid the first document across the desk. Trust registration, Miami-Dade County stamp prominent. Registered July 31st, public record. Second document followed. Medical certification, Dr. Neil Gordon, confirms full mental competency. Third document, notarization by Joyce Mason, 20 years of professional service. Fourth document, witness statements, 2 independent attorneys from Bernard's firm. Each paper landed like a card in poker, revealing a hand they couldn't beat. Gloria's face fell further with each one. She switched tactics. Tears formed, real or manufactured, impossible to tell anymore. "We're family. I'm your daughter." I said nothing. "Mom wouldn't want this. She'd hate seeing us torn apart." That broke my composure. Controlled fury rose, carefully channeled. "Don't you dare use her memory as a shield for your greed. Your mother would be ashamed of what you've become." The mask dropped completely. Gloria's tears vanished, replaced by pure rage. "You're just a stubborn old fool blocking what's rightfully ours. We took care of you, and this is how you repay us? Took care of me? You occupied my bedroom, spent my goodwill, and planned to steal my home. That's not care. That's parasitism." Stewart stepped forward, physical intimidation his last tool. "We'll fight this. Lawyers, media, whatever it takes." I stood, meeting his eyes. 15 days. Leave peacefully, or the sheriff assist your departure. Your choice." They left at 11:30, scrambling for attorneys. I spent the afternoon in productive solitude, reviewing evidence, consulting Bernard by phone. He had contacts in the legal community. By evening, he knew they had hired Ruth Mason. "Good attorney," Bernard assessed. "Estate law specialist, but she's walking into a weak case." 7 o'clock found them in Ruth's Brickell Avenue office. I learned the details later through Bernard's professional network. Attorneys talk, especially about hopeless cases. Ruth spread the documents across her conference table, read the trust page by page, checked Dr. Gordon's credentials, verified the county registration's authenticity, confirmed the witnesses' independence. Then she interviewed them. "Tell me everything. How did the relationship deteriorate?" Gloria's version was sanitized, victimized. Stewart added legal threats, bluster about elderly abuse. Ruth's expression showed she was reading between the lies. "This cruise incident?" Ruth probed. "Explain exactly what happened." Partial admissions followed, booking given, misunderstanding about cancellation. Ruth's face revealed she understood more than they were saying. Her legal assessment was brutal in its honesty. "The trust is professionally executed. Medical certification is solid. County registration official, 2 independent witnesses, notarization proper." She paused, letting reality sink in. "To challenge successfully, we'd need proof of coercion or incompetence. The medical certification destroys any incompetence claim. Do you have evidence of coercion?" Silence from both of them. "I can file a challenge. Cost, $15,000 retainer, $350 per hour after that. Expert witnesses, another $5,000 minimum. Timeline, 6 to 12 months of litigation. Success probability, 30% at best, 70% he wins." Ruth's next question was practical. "Can you afford $30,000 to $50,000 in legal fees?" Stewart didn't answer. Couldn't answer. Gloria insisted they'd find the money. Ruth offered an alternative. "Or I negotiate departure terms. Financial compensation perhaps, moving costs, timeline extension." Gloria's bitterness was palpable. "You didn't see his face. There won't be any negotiation. They chose to fight anyway. Find money somehow. Delay the inevitable." 9 o'clock that evening, Bernard called. "They've retained Ruth Mason. She contacted me professionally, feeling out settlement possibilities." No settlement. She knows their case is weak, was trying to save them legal fees and save face. Let her try. The answer stays no. I hung up and looked at the calendar. August 4th. 15 days meant August 19th. They had their notice. Now came their choice. Accept reality or fight a battle already lost. Either way, I'd already won. Tuesday morning, 8 o'clock. Bernard's call woke me from the first solid sleep I'd had in weeks. They filed. Emergency motion to invalidate the trust and stay the eviction. Expected? Absolutely. Grounds are coercion and diminished capacity, both easily disprovable with our documentation. Next steps? Hearing scheduled August 15th. Meanwhile, document everything they do. Every mistake they make strengthens our position. Later that day, Gloria let slip Stewart's solution during an angry outburst about money. Tuesday morning, he'd visited his boss Melvin at the dealership, borrowed $15,000 at 25% annual interest, 6-month deadline, job forfeiture penalty if unpaid. Desperation makes people accept terrible terms. The money went straight to Ruth Mason's retainer. By 3 that afternoon, she'd filed their motion with the court. Wednesday and Thursday brought a new kind of warfare. The house became a battlefield of petty sabotage and deliberate hostility. Gloria's kitchen tactics: dishes piled unwashed for 3 days, food left out to rot, trash overflowing, common areas deliberately destroyed. I photographed everything, timestamps, automatic. Stewart's approach was noise. Music at maximum volume starting at 10 p.m. TV blaring simultaneously. Purpose obvious: force my complaint, create an incident they could use. Thursday evening, 10 o'clock exactly, Stewart cranked the music. I walked to the living room, made a reasonable request for lower volume. His response was mocking. "Can't hear you, old man." He turned it louder. Gloria encouraged him from the couch. He wants his peace and quiet? Maybe he should have thought of that before evicting his own family. I left without arguing, returned to my room, phone recording everything from my pocket. Photos of the mess, the destruction, their behavior. Every action documented, every mistake recorded. Friday brought Bernard's update. Hearing confirmed for August 15th. Their filing is weak on merits. We're ready with your documentation. Keep collecting evidence. They're building our case for us. Saturday night, they threw a party. 7 p.m., cars began arriving. 7 or 8 vehicles, Stewart's friends and strangers I'd never seen. Cases of alcohol, coolers of drinks, music starting loud immediately. I retreated to my guest room, door closed, monitoring from isolation. 8 o'clock, music audible throughout the house. 9, alcohol flowing, I could see through my window. 10, volume increasing, bass shaking the walls. 11, neighbors' lights turning on, visible annoyance on their faces. Midnight, peak chaos, 7 or 8 people, shouting, laughter. 1 a.m., no reduction. If anything, louder. 1:30, I made my decision. Called the non-emergency police line, gave a calm report. Address, situation, legal eviction in process, unauthorized party, noise violation. 2 units dispatched, 1:40 a.m. I met the officers at the door before Stewart could intercept them. Explained clearly, property owner, unwanted occupants, pending legal eviction, party I didn't authorize. They understood immediately. Professional, thorough. Entered to address Stewart directly. He was intoxicated, belligerent. Argued with the officers about noise ordinances, midnight cutoff, basic respect for neighbors. Warning issued officially. Violation cited for record. Guests dispersed. Party ended. Incident report filed. I obtained the report number, officer names, exact timestamps. Official documentation of their misconduct. 3 a.m., the house finally quiet. I began damage assessment. Sunday morning, 9 o'clock, I surveyed the destruction. Living room stained, items broken, kitchen a disaster, bathroom wrecked. I needed to check the bedroom for damage, document what they'd done to my space. The door wouldn't open. My key didn't fit. New lock hardware visible. Changed sometime Saturday, probably while I was occupied with the party chaos. I photographed it immediately. Close-ups of the new mechanism, video of my failed entry attempt, timestamp showing 9:14 a.m. Sunday morning, called Bernard instantly. They changed the bedroom lock. I can't access my own property. That's illegal modification of trust-owned property. You have documentation? Complete photos and video. Perfect. We file emergency motion Monday morning. Property interference, owner access denial, criminal unauthorized alterations. They've handed us their conviction. Monday became a multi-front assault. 9 a.m., Bernard at the courthouse filing emergency motion. Contents: illegal lock modification, Saturday's police incident, pattern of escalating misconduct, complete documentation package. Evidence attached, lock photos, police report, audio recordings from Thursday, property damage documentation, comprehensive timeline showing their violations. 11 a.m., Bernard called Ruth Mason. Professional conversation, but I heard the steel underneath. Your client's modified locks on trust property. Ruth's sigh carried through the phone. I specifically advised against any modifications. Also, police were called Saturday, noise violation, 1:40 a.m. They didn't inform me of that incident. 7 witnesses besides the property owner. Official incident report filed. Plus, we have recorded harassment from Thursday, photos of property damage, documentation of deliberate access obstruction. Pause on Ruth's end. She was calculating, seeing how completely her clients had destroyed their own case. They're undermining any chance they had, she finally said. Bernard's proposal was measured. 8 days until the voluntary departure deadline. They leave peacefully. We waive civil damages for property destruction. If they refuse, sheriff-enforced eviction, plus civil suit, property damage, legal fees, lost use value, emotional distress, estimated $50,000 or more in damages. Longer pause. I need to consult my clients. They have until Wednesday to decide. After that, we proceed with full legal action. I'll counsel them, but Raymond, they're difficult. That's their choice to make. Mine is already made. Monday evening, 8 o'clock. I sat in my study reviewing the evidence folder on my computer. Police report filed and saved. Lock change photos cataloged and time-stamped. Audio recordings of harassment organized chronologically. Court motions submitted and confirmed. My phone rang. Bernard. The judge reviewed our emergency motion. And he wants an immediate hearing. Moved it up from the 15th. When? Tomorrow, Tuesday, 10 a.m. He's seen enough evidence to be concerned about property damage and owner rights violations. Wants resolution now. I closed my laptop, looked at the calendar. August 11th. Original deadline was August 19th, 8 days away. But tomorrow would decide everything. Laid out my court clothes, organized documents into a briefcase, prepared the evidence USB drive, mentally rehearsed my testimony, though I suspected the documentation would speak louder than any words. Tomorrow, a judge would see who they really were, what they'd done, how they'd responded to legal process with escalating destruction and defiance. Tomorrow, this war would end. Part 9, Tuesday morning. I dressed in the dark gray suit I'd laid out the night before, the one I wore to Elaine's funeral 5 years ago. Seemed appropriate somehow, burying something today too. Bernard arrived at 9:30. The drive downtown took 20 minutes, morning traffic surprisingly light. We reviewed strategy in the car, though there wasn't much left to plan. Evidence spoke for itself. Judge Kennedy is thorough, Bernard said, navigating toward the courthouse. She'll examine everything carefully. But Ray, you've got documentation most attorneys dream of. This should be straightforward. Should be. Nothing about family ever was. We parked at 9:50, walked through security, took the elevator to the 4th floor. Courtroom 4B waited at the end of a marble corridor, doors heavy with the weight of decisions made inside. 10 o'clock exactly. All rise for Judge Jane Kennedy, mid-50s, reading glasses on a chain, expression that gave nothing away. She settled into her bench, opened the file, and the proceeding began. Bernard and I sat at the left table, documents organized in precise stacks. Across the aisle, Gloria, Stuart, and Ruth occupied the right table. Their nervousness was visible. Whispered consultations, shifting positions, papers shuffled without purpose. Bernard's presentation was methodical. Evidence folder passed to the judge. Lock modification photos, close-ups showing new hardware, timestamps proving Sunday installation. Police report from Saturday's party. Official documentation of the 2 a.m. violation. Intoxicated respondents. Noise complaints. Audio recordings of Thursday's harassment, their voices preserved in digital clarity. Property damage photos showing the deliberate destruction of common areas. Judge Kennedy examined each piece. Reading glasses on, focused attention, occasional questions that were pointed and revealing. Ms. Mason, she addressed Ruth, explain the lock modification to the master bedroom. Ruth stood, grasping for justification. Your Honor, my clients felt unsafe in their living situation and took measures to secure their personal space. Unsafe from the property owner? In his own house? The judge's skepticism was palpable. There were concerns about... Concerns don't justify illegal property modification. Judge Kennedy turned to Gloria and Stuart directly. You changed locks on property you don't own, preventing the owner from accessing his own bedroom? Stuart started to speak, but his answer came out defensive, contradictory. Gloria tried to clarify, making it worse. Every word dug deeper. The trust challenge crumbled under examination. Ruth presented it professionally, arguing the trust was created specifically to disinherit Gloria. Judge Kennedy cut her off mid-argument. The trust is properly registered. Medical certification establishes full mental competency. 2 independent witnesses confirmed voluntary execution. Property owners have absolute rights when legal requirements are met. Challenge denied. The ruling came at 10:45. Lock restoration ordered immediately at respondent's expense. Fine imposed, $2,500 for illegal property modification. Eviction stay denied, no legal basis for delay. Original deadline of August 19th stands enforced. The gavel came down. Bang, final, absolute. Outside the courtroom, Stewart exploded at Ruth. "That's it? All that money for nothing?" Ruth's exhaustion showed through professional composure. "I warned you repeatedly. Your behavior destroyed any chance you had. The illegal modifications, the police incident, the documented harassment. You built the case against yourselves." Gloria stood apart, crying. Not the manipulative tears I'd seen before. These were genuine. Defeat, recognition, loss compounding. Ruth offered final counsel. Find housing, move forward, accept reality. Bernard and I stood in a separate corridor. His satisfaction was professional, appropriate. My face, I knew, showed no joy. Victory without celebration, justice without triumph. Wednesday brought the locksmith at 2 p.m. I watched from my study as he restored the original locks. Stewart supervised with visible resentment, paying $150 cash, each bill placed grudgingly. Thursday, Stewart went to the courthouse clerk's office and wrote a check for $2,500 to the Murray Family Trust. I saw the check later, his account balance barely covering it. Total debt now crushing. $137,500 accumulated through desperation and poor decisions. The house atmosphere shifted to defeated silence. Packing began, boxes appearing, belongings sorted, the reality of departure settling in. Friday afternoon, 2 o'clock, Gloria knocked on my study door, tentative, broken. I opened it. She was on her knees. "Please, Dad." Tears streaming, pride abandoned completely. "More time, forgiveness, anything. I'm begging." I studied her face, trying to determine real remorse or regret at losing. The distinction mattered less than I expected. From my desk drawer, I pulled a handwritten proposal I'd prepared the night before. Terms clear, $10,000 moving money. Condition, leave by 6 p.m. August 18th, 1 day early. Requirement, sign full legal release, no future claims. She read it, processing. $10,000? The house is worth $850,000. The house was never yours. $10,000 is generous considering what you did, what you cost me. We have nothing, no money to move, nowhere to go. That's your problem to solve. Accept the offer or face the sheriff on August 19th with zero compensation. Your choice. She left to consult Stewart and Ruth. I knew they'd accept. No real alternative existed. Sunday afternoon, 3 o'clock, Bernard's office conference room. All parties assembled, attorneys, clients, the weight of finality in the air. Settlement and release agreement spread before us. Bernard read the terms aloud. Vacate premises by 6 p.m. August 18th. Receive $10,000 upon verified departure. Release all claims forever. No future litigation permitted. Gloria signed first. Her hand trembled, pen barely controlled. As she finished, she whispered something I almost didn't catch. "Mom, forgive me." Stewart signed second. Angry force, pen nearly tearing through paper. I signed last. Steady hand, complex emotions held carefully separate from the legal act. Stewart's suspicion surfaced. "How do we know you'll actually pay?" Bernard's response was professional. "Binding contract. He violates it, you sue. But you've seen his character throughout this process. He'll honor the agreement." 6 o'clock, we left the office. Bernard and I stood in the parking lot, evening sun casting long shadows across the pavement. "Tomorrow they're gone," Bernard said. "It's over." "Yes." "You won everything." I looked at the signed agreement in my hand. at the sky turning colors with approaching sunset. Everything? We drove home separately. I took the familiar route through Coral Gables, past houses lit with family dinners and evening routines. Normal life happening everywhere except in mine. Arrived home at 6:45. Lights on upstairs, their final night, last packing. I went to my study, sat at the desk, looked at the signed agreement. Calendar on the wall showed August 17th circled. Tomorrow, August 18th. Moving day, final day. I sat in darkness, listening to sounds overhead. Footsteps, voices, the mundane noise of people preparing to leave a place they'd occupied but never truly owned. Tomorrow, they'd be gone. Tomorrow, I'd have my house back, completely and finally. Tomorrow, I'd be alone. Victory tasted strange, neither sweet nor bitter, just empty. Like winning a battle only to find the war had cost more than the prize was worth. I closed the study door, one more night of them overhead, then silence forever. Monday morning, 8 o'clock. I woke to furniture scraping overhead, their final preparations beginning. Moving day had arrived. Coffee in the kitchen felt mechanical, routine without purpose. I positioned myself in the study, laptop open as pretense, eyes drawn constantly to the window. 9:30 brought the rental truck, small U-Haul, $350 for the day. Stuart parked it in the driveway, and the loading process began. I watched from behind half-closed blinds. Their movements were efficient, silent, no banter, no complaints, just systematic removal of 2 years' accumulation. 11 o'clock, Stuart carried the dresser, struggling with its weight but refusing any assistance, pride intact, even in defeat. 1 o'clock, Gloria emerged with boxes labeled in her neat handwriting. Kitchen, bedroom, books. 3 o'clock, bedroom furniture descended the stairs, piece by piece. I pretended to work, stealing glances, documenting their exodus without celebration. Lunch went uneaten by all of us, tension suppressing appetite more effectively than any diet. 2:30 brought a soft knock on the study door. I opened it. Gloria stood there, face worn from crying and packing, but composed now. We faced each other across the threshold, boundary maintained. "I'm sorry," she said. "Truly, completely sorry, for everything." "I know. Will you ever forgive me? Someday, maybe?" Honesty seemed the only gift worth giving. "I don't know. I truly don't know." She accepted that with a nod. "Fair. I earned this. All of it. You're still my daughter. That's why the 10,000. That's why I'm offering anything at all." "Thank you." She paused, gathering courage. "Mom would want us to—" "Don't." The word came sharp. "You lost the right to invoke her. Port terminal, rubber ducks, remember?" Her whisper was barely audible. "I remember. I'm sorry." She turned and left. No embrace attempted, no physical contact. Words alone, distance preserved, whatever connection remained, existing only in biology and fading memory. 5:15. Final items loaded. Stuart carried the last box without looking back, too angry or too proud for farewell gestures. Gloria made a final walk through the empty rooms, checking what they'd left behind, saying silent goodbyes to spaces that had sheltered them. 5:20, she descended the stairs carrying something in her hands. I emerged from the study, drawn by instinct. She stood at the foyer table, carefully placing down a silver frame, Elaine's photo from the bedroom dresser, my wife's smile, frozen in happier times. "This belongs here," Gloria said quietly, "in her house." Understanding passed between us without words. The gesture was surrender, complete, symbolic, final. She was returning what she'd taken, acknowledging whose home this truly was, releasing claim to memories she'd betrayed. Our eyes met across the foyer, 36 years of history compressed into a single look, daughter and father, betrayer and betrayed. Two people who'd loved each other once, before greed and hurt had poisoned everything. She walked out. Stuart started the engine. The truck pulled away, disappeared down the street, and they were gone. I stood at the window until the vehicle was completely invisible. No wave, no gesture. Just watching until emptiness replaced their presence. 5:45. First time in weeks, the house was entirely mine. I walked through each room, Kitchen clean, living room showing empty corners where furniture had stood. Evidence they'd left respectfully, some decency remaining despite everything. Climbed the stairs slowly, hand on the rail I'd installed decades ago. Second floor, bathroom cleared of their products, guest room untouched, my exile space preserved exactly as I'd left it. Master bedroom, my hand on the doorknob, breath held, then entry. The space was bare, furniture gone, leaving only echoing emptiness. But it was clean, vacuumed, surfaces wiped. They'd left it respectfully, yet it felt foreign, smelled different, feel changed. Legally mine, emotionally uncertain. This room that Elaine and I had shared, that they'd occupied, that now belonged only to me, I wasn't sure I recognized it anymore. 6:30, I called Bernard. They're gone, house is clear, it's done. I'll be there in 30 minutes. We'll deliver the payment together. 7 o'clock, we drove to Hialeah. 30 minutes from Coral Gables, wealth to working class struggle. The apartment building was old, paint peeling, broken tiles in the entryway. Second floor, apartment 2B. 7:45, Bernard knocked. Gloria answered, exhaustion written across her features. Miss Murray, Bernard said formally. Final payment per our agreement. He presented the check, $10,000. She signed the receipt with steady hands now. Acceptance achieved, reality faced. I stood in the hallway, not entering their new space. Gloria looked at me, invitation in her eyes. Won't you come in? I shook my head. Final boundary, last separation. Stuart's voice from inside, unseen. Just leave already. Gloria's snap toward him. Be quiet. Then to me, softer. If you ever need anything, goodbye, Gloria. We left. Elevator down, building exit, return to the car. Bernard drove us back to Coral Gables in understanding silence. 8:30, he dropped me at my house. All lights off except the porch. Silence absolute, profound. Bernard departed with a nod that needed no words. I stood on my sidewalk, key in hand, looking at the house I'd built with my own hands 30 years ago. Victor surveying his kingdom. Owner reclaiming his property. Man about to enter profound solitude. Key in lock. Door opening to darkness. Lights activated, revealing emptiness in harsh clarity. Elaine's photo waited on the foyer table where Gloria had placed it. I picked up the frame. Weight familiar, but meaning transformed. Carried it to the living room, sat on the couch with it cradled in my hands. 9 o'clock, alone completely. House mine absolutely. Silence reigning supremely. I looked at Elaine's frozen smile, at the joy captured in silver and glass. I did it, I said aloud to her image. Protected our house, everything we built together. It's mine again. The photo offered no response, just her smile, unchanging. But why does this feel so empty? I won legally, enforced my rights, demanded respect. The courts agreed with everything I did. Silence answered. The house held its breath. She's our daughter, our only child, and I evicted her from our family home. I stood, walked to the mantel, the photo still in my hands. Would you approve my justice or my cruelty? I can't tell anymore. The law supported me, the judge agreed. Bernard assured me I was right. But here, in this silence, was it worth the price? I placed the photo on the mantel, center position, permanent placement. Elaine watching over the house she'd helped build, the family she'd helped create, the daughter we'd raised together. Tomorrow begins again, same house, different life. Everything mine now, rules mine, space mine, peace mine. I turned off the living room lights, climbed the stairs to the master bedroom, finally, fully mine again, stood in the doorway, looking at the empty space, my victory, my reclaimed territory, my solitude. Entered, closed the door behind me, my house, my bedroom, my life, all mine again. And somehow, having everything felt like having nothing at all. I lay down in the darkness, staring at the ceiling that had sheltered our marriage, their occupation, and now my isolation. Justice served, rights enforced, property protected, family lost. Tomorrow would begin again, different, quieter, alone. The house would remain mine, the rooms would stay empty, and life would continue in this space I'd fought so hard to reclaim. Victory and loss, inseparable now. Both absolute, both permanent, both mine to carry forward. I closed my eyes. Sleep would come, eventually. And tomorrow, in this house full of rooms and empty of people, I'd learn what it meant to live with the consequences of winning. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.